Big welcome. I'm Solomon here, accountant, auditor, general ledger auditor. We're looking today at servicing statements. We are the foreclosure auditors, accountants with over 30 years of secondary experience, and we've done just about it all when it comes to the secondary and packaging and selling mortgages, pooling them and aggregating them, selling them in pools, delivering them to all the major investors throughout the United States. We've seen just about everything, and we know what we're looking for. We know what to pick up. If you're in foreclosure, it may be something you want to consider. Evidence is the most important thing when you're making a claim in any court case. I'm not an attorney, I'm an accountant, but an attorney will tell you that the adequacy or the integrity of the evidence is going to make your case. Hearsay, theories, arguments that are conjecture don't really have much chance of surviving. If you're a debtor or a mortgagor and you haven't made your payments, pretty much it's, I believe it's called a rebutable presumption. You're in debt and you don't have any claims. You bring it current or you're out. Well, that is to say, if it's a conventional 30-year mortgage. If it's not a mortgage, or if the mortgage was canceled, if the mortgage was, the note was extinguished, there's nothing to foreclose on. That's what we're looking at, cancellation of debt by involuntary conversion. There is no note. There is no mortgage to foreclose on. There's a reason why. We've gone over that in our other presentations. You can go back and look at us and look at some of those presentations. Be sure to subscribe too, and that'll give you access to our library of presentations. And any comments you have, we'd love to hear it, especially if you're going through something right now and you've picked up something in your servicing statement or something else in the file. We'd love to hear about it. But what we do is provide in-depth financial analysis used to discover material misrepresentations for proper characterizing of the purported foreclosure. Is it really a mortgage? Is it really a foreclosure? These are used to affirm errors and omissions and violations by way of a direct investment, using the consumer as a bond issuer or as a securities issuer, and of course as a member of a pass-through investment. We look at the timing and valuation scheme and any false claims against the household as a taxpayer. We're not going in saying that you have rights or maybe you have been violated as a mortgagor. We're looking at what you as a taxpayer are entitled to as far as full disclosure, and something that the IRS calls a disguised sale, where you made a part or a party to a disguised sale. How are we doing so far? Okay, let's get into it. Let's take a look at what we have. So let's see what we found in our audit and in our analysis. A wonderful individual that we're working with out in the wonderful state, as I said, of Minnesota. And he's going through, it's been quite a, like most people, it's been hell to go through this. It's been quite a long time without making any payments, and the lender would not accept any payments. Let's find out why. We're looking at a statement. Our wonderful friends over here at Senlar. We're going to start with the cutoff date. Where in tarnations did you get that cutoff date? And why are you using a cutoff date? What the hell is a cutoff date? 6/1/2037 would be a maturity date. That'd be when the loan matures. Sure enough, right there, loan maturity date, June 2037. Okay, that's, I usually put a little asterisk or box right there with a check saying it was verified, but that is obviously verified. That's what we're using in our analysis, a maturity date. We're going to go backwards in a reverse purchase and sale. Next thing we look at is the loan amount. And the loan amount, as you can see here, is 409, or the amount due is 409,935.70. And what we're using is a balance of 477,163 as a future amount that would be paid at the end of the, or by the maturity date. So we're guessing that would be what the amount due on the maturity date, or paid on the amount paid on the maturity date would be for either interest or the, it's the number 477,163, and that, I'm going to show you where it came up with that. You don't see it anywhere on this sheet. But we also took some liberty and used a per diem. That's your daily cost of interest. But in this case, it's not a cost of interest. It's a cost of amortizing out the whole loan back to a certain date. So we're using $76.85 as a all-encompassing per diem, but for amortization. So that would be the cost per day of amortizing the loan from that balance to zero. I'm going to show you in a moment where I got that, but with that number right there and that loan amount or that balance, If I divide the two, I'm going to get the number of days. That's not real hard math. Take the balance on the loan amount on a certain date and divide it by your daily cost of interest or amortization or both, and that cost is $76.85. Divide the two, and it's going to give me the number of days. So the term to date, as of that date, would be 6,209.03. Well, from that date to what? Well, I'm going from that date backwards, 6,209 days. Let's see where it takes me. It backdates me to 5/31/20. This is a property and a borrower that's in foreclosure and going to sale as of 10/25, or was supposed to go to sale as of 10/25/2022. But for the sake of this analysis, that's what I'm left with, 6/1/37 and 6,209 days backdated from the maturity date. Takes me to 5/31/20. Interesting analysis, but it doesn't really prove anything at all. Let's keep going. Aha. Now I want to bring into play the amount due. So we've got all these numbers here, but now we're going to use a real number of 409. And if I subtract that from the amount due on the servicing statement, if I subtract those two, it gives me a margin. The margin's 67,228.06. Aha. So I guess what we're saying is the difference between this number I'm using and the actual 409 is another 67,228.06 that we're short, or that we're going to continue to, in bond terminology, be called accretion or appreciation. There's another 67,228.06 of appreciation I'm picking up that would take you all the way out to 6/1/37. And again, what in tarnations does this have to do with the price of beans? Well, we're going to show you here, but so far our analysis is tight. It'll pass the scrutiny of any court. Well, what I did was I treated that as a discount rate off the maturity date. So if you take the difference of the margin, which is 67,228.06, if I divide, it's not hard to figure out a margin, divide that difference by the loan amount, or the amount balance at the end of maturity, how much was paid. Divide that, and that would, the smaller number by the bigger number, and that'll give me a discount rate, 14.089. All right? It's a discount rate. You could also say you can capitalize 67. Capitalize the discount rate by 14.809. That'll give you 477,163. Let's keep going. It's getting interesting. Aha. What's the actual rate? Let's forget our rate, auditor rate. What's the actual rate? Right there, you think you can see it. 6.25%. Now follow me on this. If your discount rate is 14.089 and the actual rate is 6.25, you can determine how many years are left in that discount rate. Because I said this is a loan that doesn't mature until what? 6/2037. But that difference in margin between here and that date at 14.809 and 6 1/4, divide those two and it comes out to, that's only 2.25 more years. So from 6/1/37 back to 5/31/20 is a margin of 67,228. He hasn't had anything happen between, well, the foreclosure was commenced, so the sale was set for, I think, October 25th. But my analysis will take me to 5/31/20, and I'm showing that the discount rate, which is the remainder from that date forward, from this date right here forward, the discount rate divided by the actual rate gave me 2.25 more years. So that date right there actually has added to it that amount, which is good for 2.25 years. Let's see what happens when I add 2.25 years. Well, of course, we've got to use 365 days per annum, and that would give me 2.25 years, okay, for the discount. 2.25 years times 365, that gives me an offset here of 822.8 days. So if you want to just understand, for the purpose of this analysis, these numbers are so far very, very tight, and it's taken us somewhere, and you're going to find out where here in a moment. I was certainly shocked when I saw what happened here, and you're going to see where my numbers came from, but we have an offset of 822.8 days that should be added to that date right there to make up for the entire amount, which was supposed to be due on 6/1/2037. So that's called acceleration. Let's see where they're accelerating to. That would take me from 5/31/20 to 9/1/22. Whoa, 9/1/22. What's the date of this statement? 9/1/22. So the balance good through 6/1/37, which is 477,163, and a margin of 67,228. Yikes! Which brings me back to the amount due is a pad for 2.25 years, and at 365 days, that'd be 822.8 days. Add those days to this cutoff date here. That should be the cutoff date, really. And that takes me forward back to 9/1/22. So one could say, well, then the person doesn't really owe 409,935. They owe 477,163 for a difference of 67,228 that's not being disclosed. Where did I get this amount? That's the question, because without identifying, anybody can pick numbers up out of the thin air, but where'd that number come from so that I can verify the integrity of this audit? Because if this is indeed something we can verify, the consumer is going to have all the right to state that he was part of a disguised sale, and this is being all made up, that the statement here is actually a counterfeit or fraud statement to represent a loan that doesn't exist. And I'll show you where I got it from. The balance, again, I got the 6/1/37 from them, and the 477,163 I got from, drum roll please, no, I don't think we have that. The 477,163 came from the loan number, account number. It doesn't say loan, does it? It says account number, 477,163. Bingo. Where did you get the per diem to bring you back this number of days? I got it from the loan or account number, 76.85. 477,163, 76.85. Somebody is trying to overcome the non-recognition rule in accounting, and that's GAAP, generally accepted accounting principle, as well as federal regulations and auditing, FASB, the Federal Accounting Standard Boards, international FASB. What has gone to sale already and what was transacted in consideration of what each party brought to the table can never again be represented as a mortgage. If the mortgage sold, it is no longer a mortgage. If the property sold, for example, it's no longer a mortgage. And in this case, it appears to me the property or the mortgage has sold, and it has sold to the consumer. That would be called a divestiture of the note into the sale. There is no mortgage here. There is a fictitious mortgage being represented by a counterfeit statement. And this would suggest that we have something tantamount to a fraud. I hate that word. I'm not going to say it. But that loan number or account number is materially, the statement has been materially misrepresented, where an insider could see that the real balance and the real amount that they're going after is a difference of 67,228. One more time, we'll go through this. Cutoff date, 6/1/37. Loan amount or balance, 477,163. Per diem, 76.85. With that right there, the rest falls into place. If that's the amount due on 6/1/37, I brought it back that many days. It took me to 5/31/2020. That balance or difference is 67,228 from what? The amount shown right here. Divide that number by this outstanding balance at the end of the term. That gave me the 14.089. I entered his rate, or the borrower rate, 625, divided it out. That's where I got another 2.25 years of padding. That's padding to take you from this benchmark date, 2.25 years or 822 more days, to 9/1/22, and that's our statement date for a sale, for a foreclosure sale that was set for, I believe, 10/25/2022. This was the last statement, 9/1/2022. I understand more statements have come and that this balance continues to keep on changing. Excuse me, no, there's another balance here we haven't even got into, which is the escrow balance. But that account number represents insider information that gives somebody a complete edge in bidding on this property when it goes to sale. And that is a interference with the open market. It's something that could fall in the Department of Justice's hands for investigation. Definitely something the FBI would like to look at because it's non-reported. This is what you may be taught, what they may be talking about when they say a future receivable or a unrealized receivable. Anyway, lock, stock, and barrel, that's a whole kit and caboodle. That is our analysis, just focusing in on this box. Did we find some other good stuff here? Absolutely. We're not going to take any more of your time, but I was glad to have this opportunity to share this with you. I hope the attorney can just, maybe rethink about how this could fit into a great case. I don't see them moving on this guy for a long time with this kind of nonsense taking place. It's obviously an intent to defraud and materially misrepresent the transactions. Anytime you conceal something, that ain't good, is it? So I thank you for listening, and if you want to get a hold of me, I'm M. Solomon. I'm an auditor. I'm an accountant with 30 years of secondary experience. We're not out to bury lenders, banks, or anybody else. We love this country, and we're just saying, be real, be honest, be fair, and be sincere. If you don't have anything to foreclose, hand the man his title and get out of here. But you can reach me at area code 202-550-8364, or you can write me at secondarytradedesk@gmail.com. And in your comment section, tell me about what's going on in your case. And if you want to get a hold of us, get a servicing statement. That's where we start. That's where the party starts. All right? Thanks again.